I hope you can hear me. Okay, let's see. Anyone there? I can't see on my thing whether anyone's there. It's not showing up comments and things, or even whether I'm on whether the orientation is right. I do hear an echo though from somewhere, which doesn't help. Oh, a few people viewing, so that's good. I'm hoping you can hear me. My video is not playing, but can someone just let me know if you can hear me? I'll just wait a few minutes and then see, because I logged in early just to make sure I've got the right orientation and stuff. Because usually that's the first thing I mess up is the orientation. Oh, thank you, Tina. Oh, I'm glad you can hear. I can hear an echo of my own voice, which is a bit like really weird. You know when you hear yourself back, you just, I mean, I can't believe that that's what I sound like. I've got to figure out how to turn off the volume so that I'm not hearing myself, because I think it tempts me to log off. I don't think I want to hear my own voice. Thank you, thank you. I hope everyone is doing okay. It's, Sunday afternoon. Usually I do a Facebook Live on a Monday, or not Monday, oh come on, wake up girl, on a Saturday. But because this month I'm doing the fundraiser for the Alzheimer's, I wanted to do a Facebook Live every week, once a week. And I know later in the month I have a show, create and craft show on a Saturday. So I thought, well, I think I would much rather prefer doing the show on the same day of the week every week. So it was a choice between Friday or Sunday. I got most votes for Sunday, so I'm going along with Sunday. Except I forgot, didn't I, that Barbara's on TV today at 3, which is silly of me because I should really check things and become a bit more organized. But I wasn't. I feel awful. But then once I put it out there, I couldn't change it. I'm sure she'll understand, though. It's for a good cause. And just to let everyone know that, this is a Facebook Live, but I'll be putting it on YouTube as well later. So if you're watching it on YouTube, in case I come out with random stuff, just so that you're aware, I'm probably reading comments on the Facebook and just replying to things. I mean, not to say I don't talk to myself. I do talk to myself actually quite often. But I'll be responding to comments on Facebook. So, this time around I'm not talking to myself. Well, I'll try not to talk to myself. Over the next 4 weeks for the fundraiser, I'm pretty much just focusing on stitching, using the embroidery Groovi Plates. Thereafter, we go into the new year and, we can just do regular tags after that. But for November, at least, we're just going to focus on embroidery, basically, just to help with the fundraising. If anyone would like to donate, please look at the post on either Tina Cox Creative Coaching page or my own personal page. I would really appreciate it if you can. And also, if you can't, that is absolutely fine. And it would be nice if you shared the post. I'd like to, fundraise as much as I can. It's a good cause, so have a think about it. Okay, we've just gone past 2. Shall we start? Shall we not start? Shall I just keep talking? That would be a bit boring, wouldn't it, for everyone if I just yapped on about just random stuff. Let's get started. At least go through a few of the things. You can see I've put up a few tags on the screen here. So let me go through a few of them. I have already done a Facebook Live in a different lifetime. It seems like a different lifetime, ages ago. And we had created this tag here then. And there was another bigger one. There you go. So I'd done this one here. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I can't remember which tag number that was. I'm usually naming the tag, well, just Groovi Tag 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Where this one is 12, I think, or is it 11? 12 or 11? No idea. But this is one of the previous ones. So if you like the embroidery idea, for example, then, look back on YouTube or even on the creative coaching page. It will be on there somewhere. And you can have a go at this. Here is some other embroidery, another embroidery tag. I don't think we have we done this? I'm not sure. Probably not. But this was using one of the plates. I can't remember. I think I'm not even going to try and think about which ones I used, to be honest. It's too confusing for my teeny tiny brain. So this is one of the other ones. Today what we're going to do is we are going to create something like this one here. And you can see I have used the landscape plate as well, which reminds me I have no idea where I've put my landscape plate. Well, that wasn't very clever, was it, Tina? Sorry, now I'm thinking, where did I put it? Shall we wing it? Shall we wing it rather than me trying to look for a landscape plate? Let's wing it. No, I do not want to wing it because I quite like that landscape. I'm going to find it, okay? Well, I'll get everyone started on a few things and then I will go and get... No, I cannot because we need the landscape plate first. We will not wing it. Anyway, I will go look for it. I sort of think I know where it is. The other one, using the same plate, the Christmas trees embroidery plate, I have got this one here. And it's just using different colors. But this time I've done a bit of grid work on this, for example. So, there's lots of options. On both of them, I've stitched beads. I quite like stitching beads. As you know, sequins and beads are like my thing. I think I must be a magpie. I'm attracted to anything sparkly and shiny and glittery and things like that. But look, no glitter. Look, isn't that sad? There's no glitter on this one. That's very sad. That's so not like me not to put glitter. So this is just another idea. This is not what we're going to do today because it would take too long to do all the lace and everything. So maybe on another day, I don't know, or next year, we'll just have a think about it and see. And then in case I forget later, for next week, we are going to use the baubles plate and the angels plate. And we're going to create this one here. But here is another option using the same sort of idea, using the baubles and the snowflake and all that. Here's another idea, yeah. But I think we'll go with this one. I think it's really elegant and pretty on this one. So we'll do this one next week. So I'm going to put that out of the way too. I'm going to bring this one back in. what I am using is, I am using, I think in the post I had said I'm using rainbow parchment. Yeah, there is pink on one of them. I like pink. And I had also said, because I was cutting out the tag from using the corresponding rainbow paper, that is quite thin, so I've cut another piece of card just to mount it on so that it's got substance. The paper is too thin to stitch through, so that's why I needed 2 layers, the card and the paper. I have gone with I think it's California Sunset or Paradise Island, one or the other. This one is. The only reason being Alzheimer's Research UK color is orange. So through the 4 Facebook lives that I will do in this month, I'm sticking to oranges, yellows and oranges, only because, you know, that's the color for their campaign. So I want to just try and keep it a bit consistent that way for my own benefit, to be honest. But you can use any color you want. So the tag, you want your tag plate if you're creating a tag alongside me. If you can, I'm just going to move that just to show you. So I've cut out the tag, so I want to have the shiny glossy side. I don't know if it's going to pick it up, but shiny glossy side should be the back of your work and the matte side should be the front of your work. It probably won't show up on the screen, to be honest. It's really hard, but I can see it here. Because of the lights and things, it's a little bit hard to see. Well, I'm hoping I'm going to be, that's the front and that's the back. We'll find out. I mean, even if it's not the right way around, I would like it to be the right way around because I want the white on the front of my work. That's why we're working on the color flooded side, which is the brighter glossy side. That didn't make sense, did it? The brighter glossy side is the back of the work. So that should be facing up towards you. And glasses would really help. So what I'm doing is I'm just sticking it down on the corresponding Groovi plate using Groovi tabs. And I always forget to rub the tumble dryer sheet first onto the die cut piece. But then when I'm putting the tumble dryer sheet, I am actually quite careful that I don't go onto the plate itself, because I tend to do this just around the paper. So, you know, use any method that suits you. I'm known to do things the harder way. And before I start doing, so you guys start, what you're going to do is you're going to emboss the 2 double outlines over there of whichever size tag you're making, while I go grab quickly the, something or another. Yeah, let me put this here so you can have a look at it while I grab the landscape plate. It's just on the other side of the room. I'm back. I'm sorry. Welcome to my world. This is why we should never clear up our workspace, because that's a bad idea. Okay, so double outlines, number 1 tool. I'm going to use my Groovi guard to hold my parchment down. Number 1 tool, and I'm holding it quite close to the edge of the parchment so it doesn't slide. I like to go a few times, but you can do it in one pass if you wish. I'll do all the sections where I don't have the Groovi tab first. I don't know if I'm going, if I go off screen, oh, you can't tell me if I go off screen. I need to look up. Oh, in some ways, Zoom is so much easier because I can actually hear when someone says something to me. Oopsie daisy. I'm really grateful to you guys for joining me this afternoon for a Sunday afternoon. You know, it's really sweet of you, honestly. So there we go. Just, you can see I used my Groovi card quite close to the edge where I am embossing the line. What this does is it helps, well, it stops the parchment from sliding about too much. Moving, I mean, not sliding. Sliding was the wrong word there. Moving as I'm embossing. Maybe I should use new Groovi tabs because these are a bit not very sticky. Is there a word as this is a bit not very sticky? And one more side. Where should I put the tab? Let's put the tab here. Okay, one last edge. There we go. All right, let's move this out of the way. And oopsie daisy, a bit missed there. Oh no, I forgot the rings around the, I mean, they're not important, but I think I want to put them in, just these two rings around the hole. All right. So what we have is on the front, the tag there. You're going to need your A5 plate mate. And we're going to start with the landscape plate. So just to show you the tag. So what we're going to do, let me talk through a few things before we go, because I know my mind is all over the place, to be honest. So just in case I forget to say something, at least you guys can fly. Okay, so we're going to first put our first hill down from the mountains and hills plate here. Yeah, so I've used this hill here for the first hill here. And then what we want to do is we want to get our Christmas tree, the outline on the Christmas tree done first. And the angel, if that's the Christmas tree you're using, there is 3 Christmas trees on the plate itself. I'm gonna use this one. So if you haven't done embroidery before, and it's the first time you're doing embroidery, I would suggest you stick to this tree because this is the one that I will talk through. If you've done embroidery before, then can you hear me? Tina just said that I seem to have frozen and lost sound. I don't know. Anyone hear me? I'll just type. It's okay your end, Hillary? Great. Tina, could it be the Wi-Fi connection your end? I'm not sure. Okay, great. Thank you. I'll continue in that case. Check the Wi-Fi connection, Tina. Maybe it's just that. Thank you. So if you haven't done embroidery before, I suggest you stick to this tree because then you can follow me as I'm stitching that. If you have done embroidery before, then you can use any of the trees. That is, if you're following along with me doing this particular tag. It'll be really nice to see if you're not doing the tag or you're not stitching. It'll be really nice to see what all of you are doing. I'd really like to see that. So we're going to get the tree done, and then behind the tree, I want just a couple of hills again. I think it grounds the tree better that way when there's something happening at the back. And then I've got a few, couple of 3 hearts dangling there. because I thought it would be just nice. You know, Christmas time, we have a lot of things hanging around the house that make us happy and smile and things. So obviously I needed to put those in. So that's what I've done. I have kept it really simple in the sense I have done everything with the number 1 tool. I am not doing any embossing. Because otherwise we will be here for a very long time. The stitching takes a long time anyway. So I've done where, let me show you the tree actually. There we go. Here's the tree. So where I have, for example, the circles on here, I have stitched the beads on here rather than embossing these. If you're not going to be stitching beads, you may want to do them with the number 1 or number 2 tool and emboss them. But with the embroidery plates, what the main thing you need to remember is that no matter what techniques you do, you need to get all your techniques done first before you start stitching. Because as soon as you start stitching, you have attached your parchment to the backing paper, which means you can't go back and, for example, add color. You cannot go back, do grid work, do picot cutting, embossing, or anything like that. So make sure that, you get all your techniques done first before you start stitching. So if you're going to do these as embossed circles, you need to do those first. I'm just doing them, like I said, I'm just going to put a bead through it. The other option is, do them with the number 1 tool. If you're worried that it may take too long to emboss those, do them with the number 1 tool. You can color them in, and let me show you. So even for the one next week here, these little circles here, again, I have not embossed them. I've just colored them and put glitter on them, only for the reason that it speeds up the process to do it as a Facebook Live. So all these, I've just colored them and glittered them basically. Yeah. So I leave that as an option for you. So let's start with the first hill on this. It doesn't matter which hill you choose, to be honest. You have to remember that you're working on the back, so on the front it will be a mirror image. So you need to decide, for example, what side you want your tree on. So I want my tree on the, I've lost my Groovi tabs. I want my tree on the, I don't know, should I have it? Well, I have it on the left on here on the front. I'm wondering, do I want to, no, I'm going to keep, I like it on that side actually. Oh, decisions. Okay, I'm going to have it on the right this time. Since I've got it on the left on this one already, the next one I'm going to do it on the right, which means I am going to emboss on the left because we are on the back. So it's a mirror. If you're unsure, so there's my first hill. Yeah, I'm going to take that off, swap it with the embroidery plate. I forgot to mention, anyone new here? I don't know if anyone's new. You want Groovi right side, reading right side up. A bit late to say that, to be honest. So I'm sorry about that, but so you want Groovi reading the right way up. You should be able to feel the grooves. So if you're unsure, lefts and rights and things. So for example, my previous tag, I had it on the left here, but this time I want it on the right, my tree. So what I tend to do is I just hold it down with my thumb, and I know that's where I want to position it on the back. Now I don't want much of the, what's it called? The base of the tree in, because it's going behind the hill, this front hill we've done. So I'm just going to have a little bit peeking through. Yeah, just a little bit peeking through there. We're just going to color it. We're not going to stitch that bit. I'm just going to grab a bit of tumble dryer sheet. Oh, I swallowed my words. Uh-oh. I seriously need new Groovi tabs. This is not sticking. Let's have a few more for good measure. And they're all old. They last such a long time. As long as you don't get too much tumble dryer sheet on them. Okay, so embossing, like I said, I'm doing everything with the number 1 tool. So I'm going to start with the angel here and work my way down for no particular reason. So you can start wherever you want. But basically, you're going to emboss all this. And we're just going to enjoy this process. It's, for me, this is like the relaxing part. You're going to emboss these dots because those are where we're going to perforate with the 1 needle fine tool. And please make sure it is the 1 needle fine. However, if you don't have the fine and you only have the bold, you can use the thin mat, perforating mat, not the super foam. But if you have your light box, it would have come with a thin mat. You can use that. So that will stop the needle going too far. So if you have only the bold, you'll need the thinner, what they call the pico foam. Did that make sense? I think it was called pico foam, right? So the dots, the line art, and everything. So like I said, if you're going to do these as embossed, you want to emboss those with your number 2 tool. If you're using Pergamano tools, the line art with your 1 and your, if you're going to emboss, 1.5. But I'm just going to do them with the number 1 because that's where I'm going to stitch my beads. And the beads will cover the holes, so the circles, sorry, because the beads are big enough. So we won't see those circles. If you have a light wave, then that's great. Use your light wave. I'm not using the light wave because sometimes it's just too much glare. But let me see if it makes it easier for you guys to see. I'll just move it along. Hold on, let me see if it makes it easier for all of you. But sometimes the glare is too much. My computer is a bit slow in picking up the signals, so I'll have to wait a couple of seconds and then see whether it is better. You tell me, is it better with the light wave on or without? Generally, I have the light wave on for everything I do. No, it's better without because you can't see the dots that I'm doing. Or can you? Light wave or no light wave? Decisions. I think without. I don't know. Sorry, I'm confusing everyone, aren't I? This is it. Is that better? I think the white shows up better, doesn't it? I don't know. At home, definitely use it with the light wave if you already have one. I think on screen, because of the glare, it might be better without. So I'm just very quickly going around doing, oopsie daisy. Take your time. Don't try and rush like I am. So I don't usually put a finish time to these tag sessions because I never know how long I'm going to be. And I like to finish the tag while I'm here anyway. So, you know, you're welcome to stay on till the end. But if you have something to do or go, then that's fine as well. You know, like I said, I will put it on YouTube, so you can always come back and watch it from where you stopped. So don't feel you need to stay here and, you know, see it through. I would love you to, but in the real world, life happens. Is there a dot here? I don't know. Let's press in. No, that was no dot. That is just fluff. Does anyone clean their Groovi plates? You know, something tells me I need to clean my Groovi plates. there's so much like bits and pieces, glitter bits and pieces on them. I should probably give them a scrub and clean them up. I don't know. Does anyone clean their Groovi plates? Anyone? Whoopsie daisy. I think, you know, with the I love embroidery, I love stitching, and usually I'm so keen on getting to the stitching part of when you do this bit, don't do the dots on there because we're not going to be stitching in the base of the Christmas tree. I'm just going to color it basically, so you don't need to do the dots there. What was I saying before that? Oh yeah, I love embroidery, and what happens is that I'm just so keen to get to the stitching part that I get impatient doing the rest of the techniques. As much as I love the rest of the techniques, I just want to get to the stitching bit. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that because you definitely need to get all the techniques done first before we get to the stitching part. And I can get very impatient. So, you know, sometimes I make life easier by skipping embossing, by keeping a pattern really super simple, just so that I can do, well, get on with the stitching bit. I think I have got everything there. Just definitely have a quick look before you take it off, just to make sure you have everything there. I'm just looking to see if anyone's cleaned their plates. Oh, there is a few people who've cleaned plates. Now I'm getting motivated to clean my plates. Am I? Do I want to do even more cleaning in the house? I mean, I know it's Groovi Plates. Wipes, has anyone? No, actually we won't use wipes. Landfill sites and all that. Unless you've got the biodegradable ones. But even then they take forever to sort of mush up. Do they mush up? So weird. Do they mush up? Soap and water, I think, yeah, and a scrub. So what we have is this, and this is on the right. So like I said, on this I had it on the left, on this I have it on the right. No big deal. It's going to look pretty much very similar. On this one, by the way, I forgot to mention, I used clear parchment and backed it up with the, I think, Northern Lights paper. I might be wrong, but just Northern Lights, not paper. They had those little A5 designer pads, the designer pads, the A5 ones, or A6, A6, yeah. So what we're going to next do is, well, I'm going to finish putting the landscape in, and then I'll come back and put the little dangle hearts there. Yeah, so let's finish doing the landscape. So swap over to your landscape plate. And do you know, I spent so long deciding which hill, which mountain, which orientation I wanted it all. Seriously, it took me forever to do that. I don't know, decision making. See, you can angle it. You don't have to have the mountains and hills, your parchment straight. You can angle it to a sort of orientation that you like, whichever direction you want the hill to go in. So for example, I have wide on this side. So now what I'll do is I'll put it wider on this side and narrower there. Only because, well, I think it will balance better. I don't know if it does, but in my head, I want to believe that it does. So you want to emboss just outside of the tree. Do not cross into the tree. So don't cross into any of the previously embossed lines, because that will make it look like the tree is behind the hill. And I want one more. So let's see. Let's go with this one. No, let's go with this one. Oh, decisions. Yeah, I think there. A dip. I should just get on with it, shouldn't I? Instead of spending the whole afternoon deciding which way the hill should go, because do you know what? It's not going to matter. It's going to look pretty no matter what. And again on the other side. So I've got my 3 hills now. Okay. Let us show you the 3 hills on the front. So that is what I've got so far. And back to the Christmas tree for my dangle bits. There we go. So the hearts there, and I'm going to just make sure that I can I get all 3. I know easily make them longer or shorter. So if you want to make them longer, you want to come down this way, and then you can always extend the line further, but I'm going to keep it quite higher. Now when you're doing this, one of the things you need to make sure is that they're straight to this line here. Yeah, otherwise if it's at this angle, they're going to be dangling at a very odd sort of angle, aren't they? So one of the ways you can do that, for example, is, you know, use your Groovi tab, just line it up to the edge of your, hold on, let me move that to show you. You can measure it if you want. Measurements and me are a definite no-no. So I'm just going to line it up to the edge like this. I've got my Groovi tab here. And so now I know that if I put it here, I can line up one of the edges along there. If I want it longer, if I want it more onto the other, towards the edge of the tag, I can move it along. But you can see I can judge by where the edge of this Groovi tab is, yes, as to whether it's straight or not. So then if I have it here, for example, the space here should be about even. If it was this way, can you see it's narrow there, it's wider there? That's not straight. You want to have it parallel to whichever line you decide to go with. So I want it about there. I don't know, I'm making it up. About there should work for me. I think that's fine. And or do I want it a bit shorter? Should I have it a bit higher or a bit longer? Let's have it there. So now before I stick it down, I want to make sure that the space between the edge of the Groovi tab here and the line there is approximately parallel. Yeah, the space over there to there is approximately parallel. It just saves me drawing lines and all that just to get it straight. However, if you're going to draw lines and things, make sure you do it on the front, especially if you're using colored parchment, because if you draw the lines at the back and you need to erase your pencil lines, you're going to erase the color. So make sure you do your pencil lines on the front. Yeah, that's covering my thing. So there we go. Oops, I've still covered it. I'm not doing. There we go. Is it holding? Yeah. All right. So 3 tags. Not 3 tags, silly girl. 3, 3, 3, 3. You know what I mean. Hearts, 3 hearts. So there we go. Nahid. Well, hi everyone. I always forget to look up, and occasionally when I look up, I'm like, oh, I forgot to look up and I forgot to say hello, and like, okay, 3 hearts. You're good. You can put more if you wish. Absolutely up to you. So for example, I've done 3 there, but there's nothing stopping me from adding a couple more if I wanted to. So for example, if I wanted one more, I could add one more big one here. I could come back and maybe add a teeny one there if I so wished. So you can add as many as you want. I'm not going to, because do you know what? As much as I don't mind being here forever, I think Sunday afternoon and when you go into Sunday evening, you guys may have something more to do rather than sit here and just stitch along with me. So this is what it looks like so far. Yeah. Now just quickly, so this was on clear parchment, and you can see I've put some color on just to make our main elements pop. So I've used various things. I've used the felt pens, I've used the pergoliners as well, and you know, combination of both, but that's on clear parchment and it pops. However, on the rainbow parchment, I don't need to put stuff if I so not want to, but let's bring you one of the other ones. So on this one that we're going to do next week, this is on rainbow parchment as well. And you can see where I have colored the baubles, it does pop a bit more, because what it will do is it will make your main elements on the tag or your card, whatever you're making, stand out a bit more from the background of the paper. So even whether you're using colored parchment, rainbow parchment, you know, by adding that little bit of extra color to it, it just makes it pop. You don't have to, but I am going to go ahead and, you know, do that because I like color. So what I'm going to first start with is I am going to start with the B pencils to color in my tree. You know, anything of any big areas. Sorry, got a bit confused there. The big areas, because felt pens can leave streak marks. So for example, on my hills, I have used the B pencils. On the main Christmas tree, I've used the B pencils. I used B pencils on there as well, but you can use, you know, felt pens if you wish. I think the only thing I use felt pens on this one is the leaves there, and on the angel there. She looks a bit sunburned. She's celebrating Christmas in, I don't know, Bahamas. Is it really hot in the Bahamas at the moment? I don't know. But she's celebrating Christmas on the beach at the Bahamas. So she looks a little bit sunburned. Yours doesn't need to be sunburned. If you don't want your angel to be sunburned, I would suggest you use the B pencil rather than the felt pen. Okay, so I'm going to start with the B pencils. My color theme is orange, you know, for the research, sorry, for the fundraiser. So I'm going to use oranges. Now the pergoliner B pencils, there isn't really a nice orange, so I'm going to combine basically 2 colors, the red and the yellow, and I haven't got the mix quite right because I wanted it to be really vibrant orange and I didn't get that. I think maybe I have too much yellow, so I may put a bit more red and wing it and see what happens. I mean, you know, it's only a bit of paper, and once you do the stitching, it's not going to matter. I'm not going to be too bothered about going around all these leaves. I am just going to color it green. I'm just going to color it green afterwards, and it will just take the tone of the paper and things. Hi, Sammy. How long have these live shows been up again? been on again? Oh, I only restarted again today since the last one, which was quite a few months ago. There's just too much happening in life. So yeah, so this is 11 or 12. Is it 11 or 12? I'm sorry, I can't remember whether this is 11 or 12. But they're all on YouTube as well. So on the back, all the coloring, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the red down. I'm mixing two colors here to give me an orange. A lot of you may be fine with just the one color. And I am going to use my light wave for this because whenever I'm coloring, I always prefer over the light wave because I can go right up close to the outline. Whereas, you know, when you do it just straight on your hard side of the black mat, sometimes, you know, we think we've gone right close to the edge, but we haven't quite got that far. That came out a bit slow. The words got a bit mixed up in my head. I went to bed super early yesterday, but just could not fall asleep. 2 o'clock, I was still tossing and turning. I was like, what's happening? So I'm doing red. I'm going to put very little yellow this time and see if I can get a nice vibrant orange. Probably won't, but I'm going to try. Anyway, we'll see. Again, nice color. So I'm going to go over the top with just a bit of yellow. I'm not going to put a lot of yellow. So this is B8. Sorry, my red was B11. I don't know how many of you are using yellow orange, but I think maybe that should be enough. She says, continuing. Tina, it will be enough. Let it go. Let it go. Chill. The other thing I want orange is my hearts. So once again, I'm just going to put the same color. I think I'm going to put all the colors that I'm using down first. Have I gone off the screen? I forget because the light wave is bigger as to whether I've gone off the screen. Some Lello. My baby girl used to call it Lello when she was little. Ico. When she was Ico, she called it Lello. What else? I think I want the angel wings. I'm not sure if it matters whether you put red first, yellow first. I'm just going to go with, since I've got yellow in my hand, I'm just going to go with that and wing it. We're doing this for fun. I'm going to keep it fun for me too. We just wing everything. If this is your first Facebook Live, we wing everything. Okay, next, landscape, the hills. So for the hills, I have got 3 colors here. Oh, maybe it'll show better on that. There we go. I've got 3 colors here. Yeah. Now, Pergaliner B pencils doesn't have an orange, but it definitely has 3 greens. Well, it does have 3 greens, just not with me. There you go. 3 greens. So the greens are 6, 15, and 7. Yes, 3 greens. So what I've tried to do is I've put the 3 greens, as much as those 2 greens look very similar, it doesn't matter. I've tried to use the 3 greens there. So again, if I move that along. So the furthest hill, I have it as my darkest. If you want a true color of the pencil you're using, you do need to erase the color of the parchment if you're using colored parchment. I don't mind the rainbow parchment taking the tone of the paper itself. I think, you know, a lot of the times it just I feel it blend. Oopsie daisy. I did not want to do that. I really did not want to break my pencil, but I did. Give me a moment while I just sharpen that. I dropped my pencils 2 days ago. Then I dropped my pencils yesterday. And then what did I do this morning? Take a guess. I think I've killed them. Does anyone have... Yeah, it's going to break. This one's going to break as well. I think I've definitely killed my pencils. Okay, don't press. Don't press. It's going to fall off. It's going to fall off. The point is going to fall off. I just need you for a bit longer. Stay with me. Does anyone have those clumsy moments? Well, days, not moments. I shouldn't say moments. It wasn't clumsy moments. It's been clumsy days. And then the lightest one on the base. And we're going to blend this. So, again, I'm not going to get too worked up that is going out of the line and all that. Because between the double board outline here, the double border, I'm going to go with felt pen. So even if it goes into there, I'm not going to get too stressed over it. It just becomes all part. So for the trunk, the base of the tree, I'm just using a brown. I am using B12. And, oh, I forgot the green on here. I'm going to use a nice bright green on her dress. So if you do not want your angel to be celebrating Christmas on the beach at the Bahamas, use your B pencil, and that's B10. And I think this time around, that is what I'm going to go with rather than the felt pen. Make it a bit subtle this time, shall we? Yeah? So, there we go. So while you're just finishing that, I'm going to put a drop of Dorso oil on my spot-on sponge. I didn't know that, Deb. Thank you. Put them on the radiator to melt the lead. Oh, I'll have to try that. Okay, just a drop of Dorso oil on my sponge. And just to show you what that looks like on the front at the moment, which is really, you're not going to see much color there. There we go. That looks quite sad on the front at the moment, but it will pop as soon as we blend that. Yeah? All right. So I'm going to turn it over back onto my light wave. You want your blending tool, your blending nibs. I've got a green nib on here already. So I'm going to go with the green first, only because it's already on my tool. Just a touch, and on the back, you're going to blend that again. No, not again, because we're doing it for the first time now, the blending bit. Maybe a touch bit more, because that's not moving very well. There we go. So we've got nice, pretty green there. So since I've got the blending nib with the, well, I've got a green one on, I'm going to start doing this. Now, I know I have got the light, I put the light color there. So I'm going to start with the light color on here first. And you can change colors. Now this is a large area. You may want to use a piece of tissue if you like, but I'm just going to go with the blending nib. You can use a different nib for each of the 3 greens. I'm not going to. I'm going to stick with the same nib. I will blend it better once I've just gone around the first time. I'll do it better in a minute. I'm just getting some oil and moving it around a bit. Have I gone off screen? So there we go. Now if you get too much oil, you will find that the color just slides about everywhere. What you need to do is you need to, just on a piece of tissue, for example, just take off some of that excess oil. Yeah, just blot it out. And you find that, you know, on colored parchment, the oil definitely slides a lot more about, because it's color flooded on this side. It's got a glossy coating on the top of it, so the oil does slide a lot more. So I tend to blot off quite a bit as I go along, just to take some of that oil off. And then I'll do the next color. Like I said, I am not changing my nib. It will just all blend together. You can change your nib, or you can just clean off the color from the nib using some oil on tissue paper, and you can take the color off. So once again, I'm just doing a rough coat at the moment, and then I'll come back and blend it a bit better. There we go. The two colors between there and there, they're very similar. So what I'm going to do, can you see they're very similar colors? When you blend them, I find it, you know, so I've taken the darker green, which is the B6, and I'm going to put just very little. I'm not putting a lot, because I don't want this green to merge into that green. I just want it a bit darker though, so that it's separate to this one. And then I already had oil on the parchment, so I'm not putting any more oil, and just blending. And now the color looks a little bit darker than what it was before. When you look at those two colors, just the nibs, not the nibs, the pencil points, they look very different colors, but when you blend them, they're very similar. So usually when I'm using both of them together, I just add a bit of dark to the middle one, and then the dark one. And because the nib already has color from the previous color, the lighter shade, it will change the color on this as well a teeny tiny bit. I don't mind it. I think for me all that blends a lot better, and it saves me from cleaning constantly. I really don't like cleaning things. I should probably for things like this, but I'm using the excuse it goes better. It just, yeah, works better together. So I'm just blotting some of the oil, because I think it's got a lot of oil. And I'm just going to go back and take some of that oil off. Am I making sense, or am I not making sense? So if I just show you the three colors on there, there we go. That still looks very similar, but that might be because it's on the black thing. So it's always worth, you know, putting it on your backing and then deciding whether it works for you or not. There's a bit of difference. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to fiddle with it. I think it could do with a little bit more darker on there, but I'm happy with that. So I'm going to keep it as it is. Yeah, once I've done the tree here, I will see if it just everything ends up being too much similar. Then I might go ahead and add some more green. But at the moment, I'm quite happy with that. So I'll just leave it as is and then come back to it. Oh no, change your nib. Don't use your green nib for your tree, as I was just about to do. So a bit of oil. Let's see if I get a nicer bright orange. If you have polychromos, for example, you'll have lots of color options there. And I probably should have said that first, actually. I've got a red tree. I haven't got an orange tree. It's a red tree. Just as well I like red. Maybe a bit more yellow was needed, but I was just being so careful because I wanted a more like brighter orange. Yeah, polychromos work in exactly the same. Any blendable pencil will work in exactly the same way. You color it and you blend it. So you can use polychromos as well for this technique. The other thing is I am not being super like fussy this time round when I'm blending this. The reason being that we're going to stitch over this, so a lot of it is going to be covered anyway. So I'm not getting too worked up about getting it, you know, absolute precise blend without patchiness and everything, because the stitching is going to cover this. If I wasn't stitching, yes, I would definitely be a bit more careful with getting a nice smooth finish. The other thing is that, you know, when you're using colored parchment and you go outside the line, don't try and erase it because you're going to end up taking the color off. You basically the only thing we can do is try and be careful and not go over the line when using colored parchment. But if you do go over it, then, you know, we just pretend we didn't. Or we cover it with sequins or butterflies or snowflakes. If it is going to bother, if it bothers us too much, then, you know, we just stick something over it. So it's worth, you know, taking your time when you're using colored parchment to not go over, just being just a little bit more careful, because you cannot erase it. Otherwise, you're going to erase the color from the parchment. So for only that reason, you know, as much as you can see, I'm not being super careful. So all these little sections, oopsie daisy, like there where I've just gone off. You can try and take the color off with a green nib. No, don't take the color off with the green nib. No, let's not do that. With a clean nib, I meant. Sorry. With clean nib and dorso oil, you can lift the color off. So if it's really bothering you, you don't want to stick sequins over somewhere, you know, you've gone over the line, you can take it off slowly with dorso oil and a clean nib. I've got too much oil there. I like that. It's like, you know, squeaky clean sound. When you're like blending with the dorso oil on colored parchment, you need so little oil, otherwise it just slides about. So I'm constantly going back to my tissue and blotting it off if I feel it's just sliding too much. I think we've probably spent a bit longer than I thought I was going to, just putting. Now, you know, like I said, if there is things that, like colors that have gone out and they're bothering you, just, I mean, they don't bother me, but I'm just going to show you very quickly what you can do. If I can find a clean nib, I will show you Hold on, let me grab a clean. I just need one out of the packet. And do make sure it's a clean one, otherwise you'll end up spreading color from the previous one onto that. So onto the blending on there. So what you're going to do is over here, I don't know if you can see it, probably not, but I can see it where it's gone over. I'm going to take some oil and I'm just going to wipe it clean, rotate the nib, wipe it clean. So that's one way you can take the color off. Now I've got color on my nib. I'm going to put it on the oil like this, and I'm going to wipe it onto the tissue. And over here where I went over a tiny bit, you may not be able to see it. I see it. So it's just to show you that this is how on colored parchment you can take the color off, because we cannot use an eraser pencil. Yeah, I'm not going to do everywhere else that I've gone over, because have I mentioned I'm lazy? Yeah, because I'm lazy. The other thing is that, you know, if you're just starting off, for example, the Pergaliner B pencils, to color your parchment in this way, it's sort of a very safe way to put color on your work, because you can literally add more. You can take off the color if you wish, which is great. But when we use felt pens, it's a little bit harder to take that color off. You won't get the color off completely when you use felt pens. So I'm just changing nibs as I'm doing the various different sections on here. I think this angel needs some sun, actually. Oh dear. I may need to put some more color on. She definitely needs some sun. No, I think she's fine. Do I want to give her a sunburnt look again? I think, and I put her on a backing. Yeah, I'm okay with that. See, this is very red. This is very red. I'm not sure I quite like that red. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to leave it because I'll be too long. But now I can definitely see that, you know, in those three colors, the colors look quite similar on the hills there. I'm going to leave it because I want to get to the stitching. Otherwise, we're going to be here forever. But you can, you know, before you do the stitching, for example, on your piece, this is the time to change it as you want. I'm hoping by the time I put the stitching, it's going to be fine, because I still have to color these leaves in very quickly. And for the leaves, I'm using just the felt pens, literally. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take the Perga Colors Exclusive. I'm going to get my green. I am using number 17 for this one. In the previous one, the one I did just to post on Facebook, I'd used the bright green, which was 16. But for this one, I'm using 17. And you need to definitely make sure that the oil has dried or evaporated. So I'm just... Don't use your finger. Take a bit of tissue and just give it a quick rub just in the leaf, in the area, just to make sure there's no oil around. And then all I'm going to do is go in there and just color that. You can use the wide end of the pencil, or I've got the thin end. And what this will do is it will make the leaves stand out on the tree. Now, again, you can take the color off this if you want the true color of the felt pen using the eraser pencil, because it won't matter if you take the color of the parchment off as well, because you want the true color of your felt pen if that's what you're looking for. For me, I'm just going tone on, using the tones of the parchment for everything to just work together, really. And, you know, one of the things is that maybe in the beginning when you're doing something, it doesn't quite look right, or you feel, oh no, that didn't work. But when you complete it, honestly, most of the time it does come together. When we are working on individual items or elements on a thing, sometimes they will look like a bit confused, a little bit like my brain. In my head anyway, it looks confused a lot of the times. But by the time I finish a whole project, more often than not, it works out, especially when you put the backing paper on. So that's my leaves done. If I turn that around, we have this. Yeah. Isn't it weird how it looks on the black as opposed to on the backing I'm going to use? That is very red. I went from wanting bright orange to it looks really red. Okay, how are we doing? Shall I give everyone a few minutes? Does everyone need a few minutes before I move on to the next thing? If you finish, just clear the space of all the coloring stuff and things, if you're because we're going to get on to the stitching bit now. It definitely took longer than I thought it would, and I'm okay. I'm going to finish it, but I think for next week I may need to just organize the time a bit better and maybe make it make a smaller tag, the same idea but a smaller tag, just so that I don't bore everyone crazy. So I'm just clearing my space. So let's not drop the pencils again. Let's put it on the floor. Wouldn't be good if I drop the pencils yet again, would it? Is everyone ready to move on with the stitching? So there we go. There's a card, and that's what it looks like on this, on the rainbow parchment, and that is definitely so much softer. That's so much. Look, I've got. She's got the face of my tree. That's so funny. Look, they go well together, and that goes well with this one. That's so sad. Well, funny sad, but there you go. I'm assuming everyone is okay to move on. You're going to need to have your backing paper ready, your parchment, your 1 needle fine tool, your super foam, or if you've got the bold 1 needle tool, you need the thin foam. I'm just going to put that. It doesn't matter whether your super foam is black or white, to be honest, because we're going to put the parchment over this, you'll be able to see it. So it doesn't matter which super foam you have. Yeah. You want to attach, stick these 2 pieces together just to hold them while we perforate through the parchment and through the card. Temporarily. For me personally, what I like to do is I like to do a little bit at a time. I do a bit of perforating, then I do stitching, then a bit of perforating. If you prefer, you can perforate all the holes at the same time and then stitch it. But I'm going to do a little bit and then do more holes and stitch. One of the reasons being that, for example, if I do a little bit of stitching in a big enough area, I can take the masking tape off. I find masking tape really annoying sometimes because it starts peeling off and things. So I like to take it off as soon as I can, to be honest. But that's just me. I'm going to start with the base and work upwards. For no particular reason. So I've got low tack masking tape. Just line up your tag or over the cardstock or your card over. If you're making your card, your parchment over your cardstock. And I'm just going to stick this. So, oopsie daisy, the Clarity low tack masking tape is really low tack. I mean, like literally very low tack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, oh, my Groovi tabs are a bit rubbish too. As in, Groovi tabs are not rubbish, but they're like, they've lost the stickiness. So I need something alternative. So if you have very low tack, and I'm going to show you what I do is, I'm just going to stick this like this. So this is a very low tack tape, and I know that's going to come off pretty instantly. So what I have is I've got just a piece of folded white paper here, just folded, and I'm going to sandwich the two over that, and use a paper clip to hold it together for me. Hopefully you have a masking tape or, you know, clean Groovi tabs that will work better for you. My Groovi tabs are literally on the other side of the room, so I'm not going to get up to go fetch them. Did I say I'm lazy? So again, a bit of paper. So I've put masking tape, and see, I've put masking tape, and I'm just putting this. The reason I'm not putting the paper clip directly to hold these two is I don't want the paper clip to scratch my parchment. So there is a reason to my madness. So the paper is protecting my parchment from the paper clip. Yeah, and there's no way those layers are going to now move. Yeah, so you can see the two paper clips and things over the low tack tape. Am I just confusing everyone by what I'm doing here? Basically, all you want to do is you want to attach your parchment to your backing paper using any method that suits you. A low tack, because you don't want to, when you take the tape off from the back, tear into your card. I mean, it won't matter because it's the back. But I try and avoid that, because knowing me, I'll probably tear quite a bit off and be left with a hole. So I prefer the paper clips idea better. Like I said, I'm working from the bottom up. So what we're going to do is one needle tool, the fine one needle tool. Somewhere you want your Groovi guard. I'm going to use the Groovi guard to hold it down. So wherever we have these holes here, hold the tool upright. Am I in view? Let me move it along a bit. Holding the tool upright, and I'm going to perforate. Yes, holding the tool upright, and you're going to perforate over all those teeny tiny dots. And this, you know, this is definitely one point where we do need to slow down, take our time lining up the needle over the embossed dot. Oh, I'm concentrating. This is where I might like completely go quiet for a bit as I line it up. Am I in view? I'm not off the screen, am I? I'm trying to look at the video playing on the laptop, but it's a few minutes behind, so it's a little bit difficult to judge. So you can see I've got the one swirl along here. Yes, that's our first swirl. Yeah, I'm going to do the second swirl as well while I'm at it, and then I'm going to start the stitching so I can take the masking tape off, and then I'll do the rest. We can do the rest of the bit together once we stitch a little bit, if that's okay. I mean, at home, it's up to you whether you want to do all the perforating all at once and then do the stitching, or whether you want to do it in sections. I'm going to do mine in sections. Well, at least for this first bit. So there we go. Yeah. Probably be better to, will it show better the holes on here? There we go. Yeah. So we've got the holes here. Yeah. So we've got two swirls. The one swirl going this way around, and the other swirl is along here this way. Now, what I did forget to mention is that on the Clarity website, and I'm sure most of you already have the downloaded copies of the what's it called, the samplers, the guide. So for example, this is the Christmas one, and you can download it from the Clarity website. And what I've done in there is that I have blown up each element on as much larger icons, I don't know, on it. So, and it tells you, you know, so from the front, and you're always going to come from the back to the top at number 1, and then you go into number 2. Yeah, so from the front 1 to 2. So now you're on the back at 2, you're going to come up at 3, go back into, then go 3 to 4, and continue like that. So for example, we're doing this Christmas tree, and I said we're starting at the base here. So when we look at this, it says we're coming up at 1 from the, so we're coming from the back to the top at number 1, and we're going to go to somewhere, that's the wrong one. I'm looking at this thinking no, and we're going to go into 5. Am I off page? I think I might have to hold it this way because it's quite long. Yeah, so 1 to 5. So you're going to go 1 into the 5th hole. At the 5th hole, you're going to be on the back. So you're going to go from the back, 5th to 6th, which is the next one along. From the 6th one, you're going to be on the front on the 6th. You're going to go to number 2. At number 2, you'll be on the back. So you're going to go to 3, then 7, and you're just going to zigzag along this way. I think I might be better showing it to you as opposed to what I am trying to say in words. Thread. I'm using the gold thread, again, Clarity website. You don't want to, this is a metallic thread and it frays very easily. So you don't want to have a very long piece. Maybe, you know, about, I don't know, I have got about half a meter here, because it does fray very easily, the metallic thread. It's basically a bit of the metallic filament that's wrapped around the polyester thread, so the metal bit starts coming off. And you want a beading needle, so I'm using the beading needle that is once again from the Clarity website. I'm going to move this along onto the perforating mat. And I'm going to turn my light wave on because I will show you when I'm threading this needle. I like the light wave on, and I face the eye of the needle so that I can see directly down through it, through the eye, and my thread becomes easier to then push through there. Yeah. And I should have probably mentioned that maybe, you know, if you struggle threading your needle, have your needles threaded beforehand. But you know, to be honest, I really like this needle, and I don't know, I've really struggled threading it. I don't know why. And I know a lot of people have mentioned they do struggle threading it. The only thing I can suggest is use over your light wave to thread it and see if that works. Needle threaders may work as well if you have those. Now, being a metallic thread, one of the things I do is I'm going to tie a knot, just one knot. I don't know, can you see that? Hold on, let me move that. There. Just the one knot on the end, leaving a tail of about, I don't know, 6-7 centimeters. What this does is basically, there is a reason to my madness. What this will do is it will stop the needle sliding up and down. When the needle is sliding up and down the metallic thread, it is rubbing on this thread. That is what's taking the filament off. This will stop it sliding and causing friction, hence it's not going to fray as much. As a matter of fact, what you will also find is that you can get away with a little bit longer thread if you put this knot at the end of your needle. The holes are big enough that it will go through even with this knot. The knot is really tiny. So, you know, at least it will stop it sliding about and fraying the thread. So we always start on the back. You want a bit of masking tape or double-sided sticky tape. If you're using masking tape, this is the one time you need super sticky masking tape. Do not use the low-tack masking tape because your thread will just slide off. I'm using just, over the years I have bought so much masking tape when I couldn't find super low tack masking tape, and all the masking tapes were super sticky, so I've got tons of masking tape. So I'm using masking tape, but if you don't have super sticky masking tape, use double-sided sticky tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, and it doesn't really matter whether you start this swirl first or this swirl first. It's exactly the same. We're going to come up at number 1, which is the base, which is the base here. Yeah, that's the base there. This one here is your number 1, and we're going to go into the 5th one. So it doesn't matter whether you start on this one here or this one here. Okay, so from the back, we're going to start at 1, which is there. I don't know, can everyone see that? And I'm going to pull the needle through. And as I pull it through, I'm not going to take it all off completely. I'm going to anchor the thread down using my masking tape, or you're going to use your double-sided sticky tape. If you're using or sticky tape, it doesn't matter, do press that down. Yes, anchor it really well and make sure it's stuck down. Yeah. So now I'm up at number 1 here. So when I look at the instructions here, I'm here at number 1. Yeah. And I need to go into the 5th hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th hole. Then I'll be on the back. So I'm going to go to the 6th and come back to 2. 2 to 3, 3 to 7. 7 to 8, 8 to that. So 5th hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do not confuse it with this swirl here, with the top. Don't confuse your 5th hole with because this swirl goes along here. You want to keep it on the inside. Those are quite close. That line there and that line there is quite close. So I don't know if you can see that where I've put it into your 5th hole. So turn it round. Pull the thread through, and you want to go into the 6th one. Again, make sure you're following the right swirl. You're going into this swirl along here, and this is the next one along. Yeah, turn it round, it had said 6 to 2, so now we're going back this way. So this is what's going to create the crisscross pattern, the zigzaggy pattern. So again, you go to the next hole along, which is 3, so 2 to 3, and you follow that around. It's a bit like, well, it is like, you know, as kids, I don't know if you did nail art, where you put nails into, you know, like pieces of thin wood and things, and you would string the thread cord around the nails. So I'm just following back and forth. I'm going back and forth. What you will find is that on the back, you're always moving forward along your swirl. This is my swirl here. I'm always going one ahead. But on the front, you will be going back and forth. One forward, one back, one forward, one back. That's just the way it works out on the front to get the crisscross happening. Is everyone okay? Am I going too fast? So at this point you can see now we are starting to get 2 threads into each hole, which actually helps us at this point, because from here on until we get almost to the end, you're going to have two threads going through each hole. So now I know for sure I've only got one there, so I'm going to that one to give me my second one. Once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature. Is anyone struggling with what I'm saying? Oh, Sue, have you managed to thread your needle? Sorry, I just saw you're struggling to thread your needle. I hope you've managed to thread it. Yes, I'm just going back and forth. So on the front, I went one forward. This time I need to go one back. But on the back, I'm always going one forward. So you're just turning it round. A lot of you may be able to hold it in your hand and do this. So where it becomes like almost, it's such a shallow curve that, you know, you just sometimes need to go back and count. You're going into the 5th hole. So this 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my 5th hole. Sometimes it's hard to see which hole you're going to. So you can always count backwards. Everyone okay? Just follow the curve. So you need to make sure you know, and like for me, for example, I'm getting a teeny bit confused here. And because this is the back, this is the curve I'm going at. So I'm just going to make sure I know what curve I'm going at. And it's this one here. Oops, my pencil doesn't work. How does a pencil not work? It's a pencil. So it's this curve here that I'm following. So now I'm on the outside. So if I just show you holding the thread, it's this one here. Because when you look at the holes on this one, those are the holes for this, the second swirl here. So we're not going into that one. We're going into the remaining 3 here. So there we go. And into the last one here. Yeah, and when we look on the back, it's the last one on there. I don't generally tend to secure my thread and cut it off, because what I'll do is I'll jump to the first hole on the next swirl. So I'm bringing it to the front here. So this is the first hole. Yeah. And again, it is exactly the same. And actually in the picture, you can see it's exactly the same. You're going into the fifth hole. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth hole. So we're going to continue that all the way around exactly like we did here. But when you look at all the swirls on all the different sections of the tree, they're exactly the same. They all start at 1 and go into the fifth. So 1 to fifth, 1 to fifth. On this one, 1 to fifth, 1 to fifth. So exactly the same as we did this one. Yeah. Oops, no, I'm on the front. So that was our first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then moving forward 5 to 6. It's only when you start the first couple of stitches for each swirl that you need to like just well, in my case I need to concentrate a bit, but once I get going, then I know I'm always going to the next one along. Is everyone doing okay? If you do get stuck or struggling, please just leave a message. I'm trying to look this time, look up now that I've got to the stitching bit. And if you're running out of thread, once again, you're going to anchor it down with a bit of masking tape on the back. Oh, sorry, masking tape or double-sided tape on the back. And start again with a new piece of thread. I'm almost to the end of my thread, so I can show you in a sec. But can you see my thread has not frayed at all by tying this knot here. The rest of my thread has stayed nice. Whereas if the needle kept sliding up and down the thread, that's going to fray the thread. And that's the case with the metallic threads. When I'm using other threads, you know, like the silk threads, I don't need to put the knot. But with metallic threads, I find it just helps keep the thread nice. Also, the other thing you can do is you can rub your tumble dryer sheet on the thread itself. Just pull your thread through the tumble dryer sheet. It will go in and out of the holes a lot more smoothly. I didn't do that, but you can if you think it will help. Or you can use also like beeswax, but we all have our tumble dryer sheets out. It's going to do exactly the same. So I tend to use just my tumble dryer sheet to make it glide easier. Now I'm running out of thread here. And I don't think I'm going to manage to get to the end of it. And that's okay because, you know, I'm just going to anchor it down. So I've got only this much thread left. So I'm just going to get it out of the way here, anchor it down. At this point, I don't mind if it's going over those holes. It's not going to matter because I've already stitched that bit. But you can cut your piece smaller if you want, if you don't want it to go over the thread. And don't forget, this is the back of our work. So we're going to stick something over this so all this mess is not going to show. This is why when we're stitching on parchment, we need to do it over cardstock. Otherwise, you know, if we didn't stitch it over the cardstock, you would see all this on the parchment. So I'm just going to move that. So to get this thread off where I've put a knot on it, I'm going to cut it quite close to where that knot is, and it will just fall apart. Yeah, there you go. And I'm going to thread just some more thread onto my needle. So I'm going to use the light wave to just so I can see. the eye of the needle. And there we go. I'm going to just tie a knot so stops the needle from gliding up and down. So you can see that over here where it's where the thread came out and I've anchored it. So I want to go into the next hole along on the back, pull that through. Whoopsie, don't pull it through so much that you pull the whole thread out. Oh, that was funny. And I'm going to anchor the thread down. Everyone is so quiet. As in, yeah, I can't hear. Even if you try to speak to me, I can't hear you. But yeah, it's really weird. It's a huge difference, you know, from doing the Zoom workshops to Facebook Lives where you can't hear anyone. So I've pulled it through, and I need to, so I'm along here. I need to go into the fifth hole. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tina, focus. Let's move it so I can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one, fifth one. There we go. And then you just follow it through exactly the same as before. It was just actually literally a couple of holes just left to finish that swirl. Oopsie daisy. There we go. Yeah. At this point, what I'm going to do is I am going to take all this off because it is annoying me. Because I have done such a large area here that it's not going to move from the cardstock. It's enough that the two pieces have been stitched together. Do you see? Even if I do this, it doesn't move. Yeah, and I'm pushing quite a bit. It doesn't move because that's a large enough area that I've stitched the two pieces that I don't need the rest of the tape and stuff. You can leave yours on if you wish, you know, if you're more comfortable. I'm going to move the thread out of the way this way, and I'm going to go ahead and poke the holes for this. So again, you know, just making sure you line up the needle to the dot and you perforate. So at this point, it's up to you whether you want to do all the perforations all at once or do a little section at a time. I think for speed purposes now, I am going to do all the holes first on the whole tag and then come back to the stitching bit. But it's exactly the same for all of for the tree, all the 3 sections of the tree. I'm going to turn it around so it's easier for me to see. Is anyone new to this to the embroidery plates, or has everyone done embroidery on parchment using these plates? I'm hoping you have, because if you have the plates, hopefully you have, unless you know you saw them and it's one of the to-do lists. Bought the plates but not got around to yet using them. So one of the things I forgot to say is I haven't done the holes for the beads quite yet because, well, I had when I was preparing the tag to show everyone. And what I found is I was getting very confused with the holes for where the beads were and the holes for where the swirls are. So this time around, I'll do the holes for the beads right at the end, because generally I don't do the beads until I've finished all the other stitching. Otherwise, what happens is the thread gets caught between the beads if I do them as I go along, and I find that very frustrating. So I do the beads last. And you know, on this card, again, I have not, oh, well, not again, but I haven't done glitter on this card. I would really recommend that if you're going to put glitter, do it before you do the stitching. Generally, I know we do glitter last, but do it before you start stitching. The only reason that, you know, otherwise the glitter gets trapped between the thread. You can shake it off, but you know, if you've got stitching very close on like some of the designs, it takes forever to shake all that glitter off. So definitely do your glitter work first if you're going to put glitter. Sorry, I'm like really focused on lining up. It's your first time, Sue? I hope I'm making sense then. And if I am, I hope you're enjoying this. So I've done all the tree. I'm going to just go ahead and just perforate those. It will just make it quicker. But when I'm usually doing on my own, you know, at my own pace, I like to do a little bit at a time. I like to break, you know, do a bit of perforating, a bit of stitching, only because, you know, I'm lazy. Not lazy, I'm impatient. And if I'm doing stitching, I want to get to the stitching. I want to see what it looks like. So this way it keeps me occupied by doing a bit of stitching and then doing a bit more perforating, a bit more stitching. I don't think there is a right or a wrong, to be honest. Whichever way works better for you. If you prefer to, you know, perforate all the holes as you're going along and then do all the stitching, that is fine too. We're almost there. A lot of the time I find that, you know, doing all the rest of the all the rest of the parchment work takes longer than the actual stitching part. When you get down to doing the stitching part, it doesn't take as long as the rest of the parchment work on your card will have taken you, or your tag. I think generally I tend to do Facebook Lives. I try and keep them to, well, I would like to say 2 hours. I don't think, maybe only once or twice have I managed that. Usually they go on for about 2.5 hours. But with the stitching, I'm not sure how long it will take us. In my head, when I was doing this one, I thought about 2.5 hours I was going to give it. So I don't know. I haven't looked at the time yet. But I know that just doing the line art and the coloring and just the basic took us to over an hour. So I'm not sure. So there we go. That's all the holes done. Yeah. Actually, when I lift it, you can see the holes shine through. the light wave. And as a matter of fact, you know, when you're stitching, again, having the light wave on really helps, because you can actually see the holes that you're going into. It does make it a lot easier. Well, for me it does anyway. So again, it is another thing that I do with my light wave on. So again, on the back, and you're starting at number 1. Our number 1 is always the inside of the swirl. It's always the first hole on the inside of the swirl. And we're on the front, so we're going to go into the 5th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember to follow the right swirl. This one along here. So now I need to come back to number 2. On the back, I'm going 2 to 3. My super sticky masking tape is coming off. Not as sticky as I thought it was. Why is it coming off? Please don't come off. You're anchoring my thread. Do not come off. So we just follow that around exactly. Oopsie daisy. All the way along. Now this is quite a bold pattern on here. So, you know, once you get the hang of it and you start stitching, it fills up very quickly. It does. What takes a very long time to stitch is if any of the embroidery plates have got back stitch on them. There is one that has not the fern, what's it called? The sprigs, the Christmas tree sprig thing. That's the wrong hole. Can you see? I've put it into the wrong hole here. I wanted to go into this one, and I've put it on that swirl one. So I'm just going to push the needle back through the same. I mean, to be honest, don't do what I just did. It's always better to take the needle off the thread and rethreading after you've taken the thread off. Don't do what I've just done. But I'm lazy. But if you do, like, I know the number of times I've tried to do what I've just done, and I've actually gone through the previous thread, split the thread, and then it becomes really hard to take it off. Oopsie daisy. Yeah, so if any of the designs have back stitch, that takes a very long time to do. But it does look very pretty. I'd love to see what you're doing, Sue. Sorry, not Sue. Well, I'd love to see what you're doing too, Sue. That didn't come across very nice, did it? I'm so sorry. Deb, because Deb said she's doing something else. But I'd like to see what everyone is doing. Oh, Tina needs to learn to shut up. Oh no, that came out so wrong. I'm so sorry, Sue. 3, 4, 5. When it starts going straighter, for example, along the pattern, I get a bit confused as to where I'm going. So then I usually have to start counting back to 5 to make sure. So I'm at the end of that swirl. So again, I'm going to number 1, which is the inside of the next swirl. That is not number 1 because number 1 is covered by my masking tape and I cannot find it. Right, I'm going to lift this masking tape ever so slightly so I can see where the hole is, which is in here. There we go. And into the 5th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 to 6 on the back. And we repeat. So my masking tape is lifting here. I have options. I can use some more tape to just secure it down, or I can ignore it. Ignoring is not a good option to pick in this case. I mean, it is further away from where it's anchoring my thread. So ignoring it is a bad idea, knowing my luck, the way, you know, things are going at the moment with things falling over and things. So I am going to just stick over that so it doesn't come off completely, because that would not be a good thing for it to happen. So if you find that your thread or, you know, your double-sided sticky tape is coming off, just put a bit more over it, because you wouldn't want it to all start getting undone. Am I in the right place? I love seeing how the pattern starts forming. It definitely takes a bit longer than in my head I thought it would. But it's okay. I mean, for me personally, it's okay. I've got nothing better to do this evening. My son's cooking dinner today, so it's not like I need to cook dinner either, which is great. So, yeah, I have literally nothing to do. So for the fundraiser I mentioned earlier, when we first started the Alzheimer's UK, it's an event called Knit, Sew or Crochet. I decided I was going to sew beaded decorations so you're supposed to do something to do in any of the areas or all. You don't need to stick to just one project. You can do different things every day, but you're supposed to do every day for the whole of November, for example. And I decided I was going to sew beaded decorations in November, just as a change. I love crochet too, but as a change, I was going to do the beaded decorations every day. Sorry, I'm wondering whether I should just change my thread now. So I'm just seeing how much I'll get more out of this thread if I jump across to the next one, or shall I just start a new thread? But my thread is precious, so I'm going to use it as much as I can. I think I'll be able to get 3 or 4 stitches. So yeah, I'm doing beaded decorations, but today I'm going to do, I'm sewing this tag. So that's going to be my today's contribution to doing something every day in November. So no beaded stuff today for me. But, you know, those beaded decorations, I don't know if you've seen, but if you go on my page, the bauble I made, Oh my gosh, I'm absolutely in love with that bauble, honestly. And I did the bell. The bell was a bit more trickier for me because you had to do it in different sections. So you do a small bit, and then you know, the drum of the bell. You do 2 different drums, and then you connect them together. For me, it was just too difficult to hold down and get the tension and everything right. So I struggled with that one. But I wasn't about to give up, that's for sure. But regarding the bauble, oh my gosh, I'm in love with that. And last night there I was on the internet. You know, when you can't sleep, that's the worst time to go on the internet and do retail therapy. Well, I was good. As much as I went and looked, and I put a whole bunch of more baubles and designs in my basket, you know what? I didn't check out. Proud me moment. My baby girl would be so proud of me that I didn't actually check out, because it would have cost me a mini fortune to do that. But I didn't. But there's some gorgeous designs out there, honestly, seriously. I got mine from Spellbound Beads, and they have some such amazing designs on there. But I know that as much as I would like to have them, I'm not sure if I'll get time to do them all. That's a very tight knot I have tied. This, the only thing about tying a knot on your needle is that I'm trying to hold it and take it off. Is that sometimes it becomes a bit trickier to take it off. There. Okay. Some more thread. Everyone finished their tag? Where did you get the pattern for? The beaded bauble is from, and the bell. They're from Spellbound Beads. Look on there, they have some amazing designs, Carol. Absolutely gorgeous designs, honestly. So there's my thread. I'm going to just tie a knot and bring this back in and go to this one. Okay, maybe I took a bit too much thread here. I wasn't paying attention. So I'm just going to anchor that thread down. Oh, I know what's happening. It's because I'm using the low-tack masking tape as opposed to the sticky stuff. Oh dear, dear, dear. That's why it's coming off. I just realized. Okay, I need to go back and put the sticky stuff on. I couldn't figure out why this was happening. I definitely don't want it coming off.
You want me to make something? I can cook something.
Facebook. That was my sister, in case you heard. I'm like shaking my head. No, 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 no. Oh dear. All good fun. Okay, so back to 5th. And we go back. I'm hoping I've covered all the, you know, if you've got your low-tech masking tape on your desk, definitely worth putting it aside when you start stitching, because that is definitely not going to be strong enough to anchor your thread. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's raining again. Where are the printed diagrams for the plates? Sue, they're on the Clarity website. If you go to downloads, I think it's where under inspiration, the tab inspiration, or it might be under the tab more. I think it's under the inspiration tab. Or if you wait till I'm done, oopsie daisy, and I can send you the link, I can message you the link to them. Has anyone been really affected by the bad weather? I hope everyone was okay and not affected too much. It's been horrendous, the weather, hasn't it? So I've got to the top here where there is these two. I've come to the end of my swirl, so I'm going back to number 1 on this end. Oopsie daisy. It's getting, I have my thread a bit longer than I usually do, so it's getting caught on the corners of the light wave and embossing mat and things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So another reason not to have the thread too long. Oh, great. That's great. Thanks, Sue, for letting me know. Yeah, the longer the thread you have, the more chances are it's going to get caught around corners and things, which is what's happening here. To be honest, it's not going to fray as much, even with the long piece I have, because the needle is not sliding up and down. But it's frustrating when it gets caught in the corners. We may be here for a while. Can you hear the rain? Because I'm in the conservatory, obviously the rain sounds a lot louder than it would if I was in another room, for example. Do I need to speak louder? I'm not sure. Oopsie daisy, come back. On Thursday, I've got the Pergamano show. And I think I read somewhere Paul showed you the plates that we used on the retreat. And I haven't seen that episode of Tuesday, Groovi Tuesday. But there was a comment, I think, somewhere that said he showed everyone the plates. I'm really looking forward to that. They're just a lot of fun, the little plates and the plate mate. So I can't wait to start using and demoing with those. Definitely that's going to be on my list for next year's Facebook Lives and what we can do with them and things. So that would be good. And one of the challenges I definitely, not challenge, but might be a challenge for you guys. 3, 4, 5. Some of you, no, probably not all, is do a tag where we paint using a paintbrush and the A pencils, because I've had a few people who've asked me about the painting technique. So maybe we can do it as a Facebook Live. it is a practice thing, to be honest. And so, you know, it's not something that, if you've never done painting, it's not, it's, I think it's getting the hang of getting the water consistency and on your brush and things right, so it doesn't buckle the parchment. So it'd be really good to just have a play and see, and then you can always practice at home, right? At your own pace. But it'd be nice to show you a few bits so that you can start playing until we, you know, do a bit more and then a bit more, and then you get used to using your brush and water and your A pencils and things like that. Okay, next bit, the angel here. So I'm going to do this triangle dress first. So on there we can see this is the design here, and basically we're going, this is our point here, the middle point here, yeah, is your number 1. So you're just going to go 1 to 2, and then you're going 2 to 3, back to 1, then you need to go from 1 to 4, 4 to 1, 1 to 5, 5 to 1, 1 to 6, 6 to 1. Basically you're creating a fan shape, yeah. So where you have a holes, like, so on this one, for example, we're going in 5 times into this number 1. I don't generally tend to make my hole bigger, but you can use your bold 1 needle tool if you want a bigger hole. I haven't struggled to get that many threads into this hole, but if you think you might be able to, you may find it easier to make the hole bigger to see, because once the threads start bunching there, it becomes harder to see that hole. Then you can go ahead and put that, make the hole bigger, make the hole bigger using the bold 1 needle tool. I'm going to leave it as is. So I'm going to start at number 1 as it says on the instructions, which is the top there. Pull it through. So now we're on the front. It said we're going 1 to 2. It doesn't matter whether this is your 2 or this is your 2. We're just going to create a fan. It really doesn't matter which direction you're going in. What you need to make sure is when you have the fan shape is that you're always going into the first hole. So back into there. You're always coming out of number 1, which means you need to get back to number 1 to be able to come out of number 1. Yeah? Oopsie daisy, I've got a knot on my thread, and another reason not to have your thread too long, because you end up having a knot. And if your thread has become like all wiggly, curly, just hold it up and let it untwirl, because the thread sometimes gets twirled. Sorry. There we go. So I'm always going out across from number 1. And back into number 1. And you can see the fan happening. And you'll find that a lot of the patterns throughout all the plates, they're all, well, the techniques are all the same. It just depends how many holes are in each element that will make it look slightly different. Otherwise, it's, you know, it's all the same. So once you do a little bit and you get used to it, why is this how this is? Because the thread is too long. I should have just cut it and started again, to be honest. Let me try and hold it up and untwirl the needle. If you let your needle sort of hang towards the ground, holding the tag up, it will untwirl. So there we go. And you can see we've got the fan shape on the dress here. So when we look at the wings, it is once again exactly the same. You see the fan that's going out of number 1. On this half a wing, again, it's a fan going out of number 1. So exactly the same. So when you go, 1 to 2, you want to then come back to 1, go into 3, come back to 1, out to 4, back to 1. So it's exactly the same. Yeah, so on all the wings, that is what we're going to do. So again, starting at number 1. So this one, I have brought it to the half a wing. And we're going to go out. Now again, it doesn't matter whether this is your number 2 or that is your number 2. It really doesn't matter, because by the time you do a fan, you'll have gone into all the holes anyway. As long as you come back to number 1, that's all that matters. So back into 1, out of 1, to the next hole along, and back into 1. So here we go, we have half the wing here. Yeah, but you can see this had more strands, more holes, so you got more strands for your fan. This one has only 3 holes, but it is still a fan because you're always going back into 1. Yeah, exactly the same here. So you're going to create the fan, your number 1 being there, but once again, exactly the same. Not again. It's because it was the low tag. Okay, I'm going to... Sorry, I need to attach that. That's definitely going to come off. And we wouldn't want that because I'll have to go back to square 1 and start stitching. That was the low tack tape. Okay, that's no good to me. Oopsie daisy, oopsie daisy. That missed the bin completely. It's on the floor somewhere now. And the bin is right next to me. It's not like the bin's that far and I could, I was throwing it. It's right next to me and I still miss the bin. So again, a fan across and always going back to the center. Am I going the right way? I've confused myself in my head. It doesn't take much actually, to be honest, to confuse me by myself, to myself. So there we go. Don't poke the end of the needle with your thumb like I just did because it hurts. Just saying. Not a good idea. So here we go. If I pull that tighter at the back, you can see it better. Yeah, so we've got that. Okay. Right, the other side. So, go into any. You can do the top wing first or you can do the bottom wing. The top wing is closer. So I will start on the top wing, and then once again we start the fan again. And like I said, once you get the hang of this, you will find on a lot of the other plates, it's the same design. So once you've done this, you know exactly by looking at the picture. That's I think the plates come with a little leaflet on the inside, a stitch guide which is in red. It's mini, it's very mini, but there is a stitch guide that comes with the plates. But that's why we thought, you know, it would be a good idea to do this larger as a download. So you can download them and have a look, but you know, just basically at what it looks like. But even with the fine 1 needle tool and the knot on my needle, you can see I've gone into that hole 5 times and it's still okay. It is still fine with the fine 1 needle tool to go multiple times into each hole when you're doing the fan. Okay, and that is what we have so far. So we've got our tree, we have got our angel done. If we do this, we've got options. We can do the beads, but that, like I said, for me, I don't do the beads right till the end, only because I find that the thread catches around the beads, then you got to take it off. So I tend to do all the stitching first. I would still suggest we get the heart done before we do the beads. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So this one is on the other side of the page. There we go. It is this one here. So we're going 1 to 9, which is straight across. So you're going straight across 1 to 9, and then 9 to 10. Again, it's not going to matter whether you go this way or whether you go this way. It doesn't really matter. So on my instructions, I've got 1, and then down at 9. From the back, you're going 9 to 10, and then you're going diagonally across at 2. Then across at 3, diagonally at 11. So you're creating this this crisscross thing that happens in the center. I'm just trying to find the tag. There you go. So it forms this sort of a shape along here. Yeah. So first across through the middle, then 10, across to 2, across 3. So you're going diagonally this way. And what you'll get is you'll get this bunching happening in the center there. What did I do with my, oh, it's here. I'm like, what did I do with my tag? Okay, so I'm going to bring my thread. I've got a long enough thread to take me across to there. Sorry, center point there. So from 1, we're going straight across to the bottom of the heart there. Then we're going to 1 across. It doesn't matter whether you go to this one or whether you go to this one. It really doesn't matter, because we're going to go diagonally from there. So to the next one along on the back. So we're on this side of the heart. We want to come to the other side of the heart, but diagonally across to the next hole from 1. So you're crossing from one side of the heart to the other side of the heart on the front. So we're on this side, we need to go across on that side to the next hole along. So you're just going to follow that through till you get to the end. I have missed something somewhere. Yep, you see I've missed a hole here. And that is why it didn't add up. I'm not going to try and take the needle out, like weave the needle backwards to get to that hole. I'm just going to take my needle off, to be honest, because that's a lot of holes I think I need to take off. Probably wasn't, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm better taking the needle off and undoing the thread. Yeah, I missed this hole here. Yeah, I was supposed to go to that one. Let's do that, do that. And oopsie daisy. There we go. I've only got a bit of thread, so I'm not going to tie a knot on this. This is not going to fray much anyway because it's only a bit left on there before I need to secure it off anyway. When you have patterns like this, it's easier to see where you've missed a hole, which makes it handy because you have one thread going through each hole. Have I missed something again? Let's go into that one. Oh no, I'm going to this one. I am losing the plot now. Not that I hadn't lost it before. I've got two tiny hearts left and I don't have enough thread on my thing. Do I? No, I don't. No, I don't. It's not worth risking. This time I will make sure I'm using my super sticky masking tape instead of the low tack before I secure it off. I'm going to get just a small amount of thread. I don't think I need a lot because I mean, yeah, I have got beads to put, so I guess I could have it a bit longer. Saves me threading the needle again. Yeah, because I'm going to go from here back into here to thread the beads. So I guess I will cut my thread a little bit longer than... First I was going to cut it long enough just to do those two, and then remember the beads I want to stitch through. So I might as well have it a bit longer. Oopsie daisy. It's really weird because as much I have the lights on in here and everything, but you can still feel the darkness from the outside. So I've tied the knot on my needle. Again, it's exactly the same as we did on the no, it's not. She lies. She does lie. Honest. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up to 1 anyway. Let's do this heart first and secure it, and then I'll show you on the pattern itself. Okay, let's secure this. At least I have my thing in the right place for... Okay. So on this pattern, we have from 1 to 4. Then we're going 4 to 5 on the back, 5 to other side 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 6. No, she doesn't. She's confused herself. 1 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 1. Okay, 1 to 3, 3 to... Do you know what? It's not worth my while to be overthinking this. I'm confusing myself in my own little teeny tiny head. On this one, I know why I'm confused, because on this one I did exactly the same as this, just fewer holes. But on this one, it is different because I didn't look at the instructions. We have got, other than at number 3 where we've got the fan happening, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got this one going this way, one going this way, one going this way. Yeah, you've got your fan. But as well as with the fan, we've got these 3 here. Other than at number 1 where it's gone in 3 times, and at number 4 where it's gone in 3 times, the others have got 2 each, she says. So it goes this way and this way. So these 2 have 3 each. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then it crosses off this way here to form you this star here. Does that make sense? No? No, it doesn't make sense to me. Don't worry. And I did it. Okay. Breathe. We will do this. Okay. I'm going to take it very slowly from here. So 1 to straight across to the bottom at 4. Okay? So we've got it at 4. Yeah? From 4, again, it is not going to matter which side you go on. So 1 along on one side of the heart. So you're coming out just adjacent to that. And you're going diagonally across exactly the same as we did here. Yeah? So once we are there, I'm going to come across to the next one. And diagonally across to this one. That's exactly how we did this one here. But now what we want to do is we want to cross off, and I don't know what I've done there with number 1, number 2, number 3. But basically what we want to do is we want to come back to our center points, not center, our top and bottom here, and we want 2 more strands. At the moment, we've only got 1 strand on either side. We want 2 more strands coming out of there at a diagonal. So your first one will go from this to this center one there, and then this to this one there, to give you this little triangle, well, not triangle, but the arrow shape at the top there. And then the same you're going to do on this one, and you're going to get the arrow shape that side. So I need to bring my thread back to the center, and it will be a lot more obvious when you see it. Yeah, so I've brought it back to the center. I want to bring it diagonally across. There's no point me going straight because I've already done that one. I want to go diagonally to the next one along. Again, doesn't matter if it's this side or that side because you're going to do both sides. You're going to bring it back to the top at the center. And you're going to bring it to the other side, the diagonal. Does it make sense? If it doesn't, you can leave it out as like on this one, I've got fewer strands and that looks pretty too. But then I did that because I hadn't read the instructions. So we've done our 3 strands with this hole. Our bottom hole there at the base of the heart has 3 as well. So for this, we're going to come out and we're going to go across to this one, miss one, and across to this one, diagonal, and then back to the base and repeat on the other side. Okay, let me show you them side by side. I wonder if it will show better on the black mat. So when you look at the 2 designs, that's how they look different. Yeah. So you can see the one on the right has more threads going through, but even the one on the left looks very pretty. So if it's very complicated, you can just do the one on the left. I mean, to be honest, I didn't read the instructions when I did this tag. I just went with. Should have probably read it first. But it's a bit like, you know, when we buy gadgets, who reads instructions? No one. So again, we're going to repeat this. So to the bottom, next one along, and diagonally to that. So now we've got our basic as we did the larger heart. So that's our basic as we did our larger heart. So once more, I am going to come to the center hole, which was our number 1. And I'm going to fan it out from that hole, 1 on either side by that middle hole. Always coming back to the center and going on the other side in exactly the same way. Oopsie daisy, I'm going off screen. I'm moving and further away now. So coming to the base hole, and again, I'm going to fan out to the top of the heart diagonally and coming back to the center. And I have no idea why I made this teeny tiny heart so complicated. I have no idea. I could have made it complicated on the bigger one where it's easier to see, but no, I didn't, did I? I had to make it a bit more difficult. So there we go. So yeah, hopefully you can see it. Yeah. Okay, beads. If you're putting beads on yours, we need to go back, and where we have these circles, we need to make holes with our 1 needle tool. So once again, holding the tool, and I'm making the hole in the center of the circle. Yeah, I am using the little seed beads. I think they're size 11, but they're just small seed beads. So into all the circles, and you can see some of them I haven't got quite into the center, but by the time the bead sits over the top, it is not going to matter. So there we go. I think I've got all of them. Just put the lid back on there. So, oh, I've got, oopsie daisy, sorry, I knocked the, oopsie daisy. I'm just dropping a billion things. Okay, I need to get up before I drop the bottles too. Not very organized, was I today? So I've got a few selection of, I've got a little pot of beads, but I've got tons of seed beads. These are slightly larger than the ones I have used on this. So I'm not sure how it will work because this one's are a lot smaller. These two are quite close, so I still might be better using a smaller bead. So if you're going to put beads on your work, you do need to look at how close your holes are and whether your beads are going to end up sitting on top of one another. So here, if I use a bigger bead, they're going to sit on top of one another. Can you see? So I'm still probably better off using the smaller bead because these are quite a bit bigger than what I had used there. So I can't use these. This one's, like I said, size 11. Yeah, they're Delica size 11 beads, round. So I'm just going to go with that. Basically, you know, for this pattern, it's I've used the size 11 seed bead. Let's take out a few. Okay. No, that's not the one. I need this one here. Or shall I use the bigger ones to show you? Because depending on what everyone has, I don't know. I'm a bit confused. So I'm bringing the thread back to my tree where the first hole here is, and you know what, I'm still tempted to use the bigger bead because I can show you what will happen if I use the bigger bead. You see, look at the size difference. Yeah, so it may work, it may not work, but I'm going to use it just to show you, and then I can always take it off if I think it's not working for me, but at least you've seen what will happen. So I've brought the needle to the front where the first one is. I'm going to pick up a bead and I'm going to go back down the same hole that I came up from. What this does is it's going to anchor your thread, your bead to that. You're going to go along to the next one, and it doesn't matter which direction, where you go. Just make sure you're pulling the thread tight so there's no loose, it's not loose where the bead is. So pick up a bead and back down the same hole. On to the next one. I'll put these back in later. Pick up a bead. Actually, they're okay, but then maybe because there was more space there. I don't know, we'll find out. And up onto the next hole. Pick up a bead and down the same hole. And you just continue doing this for all of them. Actually, they look super cute. I could have made them multicolored, couldn't I? Different colors, and they would have been like multicolored baubles. I wasn't thinking, was I? Never mind. Actually, they look super cute. the bigger ones. I'm just worried when I get to the base here where the holes, some of them are very close, whether they'll sit flat like they're sitting flat here. I'm hoping it will. You can see on this one, for example, is sitting on the stitching because the bead is so big. But that's okay, I don't mind. I mean, I could take it off if I'm really unhappy with it, but I think it's quite nice. It sits on some of the thread. Oopsie daisy. See, this is what I meant. If I'd started stitching the beads from before as I went along, the thread gets caught. Where am I? Oh, on the front. That's why I'm like, where's my thread gone? This one, I think. Any, to be honest, it's not gonna matter, is it? As long as they all get done. Almost there. And almost finished with the tag. But with stitching, it always takes a little bit longer. My knot at the end of the needle has come off, so my thread, my needle is sliding, oopsie daisy, up and down. And where is it caught? It's looking so pretty. Now I'm wishing I had used multicolored beads. I think I do like it in the bigger beads. I think they stand out a lot more. But of course, you know, from project to project, it would depend what size beads, because on some of them, the holes would be far too close together. And then the beads will just end up sitting on top of one another. Always make sure when you're putting beads on that you're pulling the thread sort of tight around the bead. Otherwise, you know, it will even after you stick it down on a backing, that bead will be loose at the top. Oh, it's caught in the corner. I was like, it's caught somewhere. I think because normally I do, like, I've done Facebook Lives always on a Saturday. In my head, it feels like tomorrow is Sunday and it's Monday. Do you know, I don't know how quick the year's gone. Beginning of the year, you know, I'm always thinking, oh my gosh, time is going so slow. This year is just not going fast enough. Now that, you know, we're almost at the end, I'm thinking, where has the time gone? How are we almost at the end of the year? Oopsie daisy. Yeah, and always look out on the front if the thread has like caught between the other beads. And I think this one is the last, no, this one is the last one. It's definitely caught around something on the front. You see over here. And this is why we do the beads last. And I think that was the last one. Just make sure I have not missed any. Yeah, have we got everything? We have got everything. Okay, so I'm going to just anchor that off, cut it, and just the finishing bits on it. I don't know how many people are still here. Or what time it is for that matter. I mean, next year I'll probably still go back to the Saturdays, because to be honest, Saturday works better for me anyway. It's just for this fundraiser that it so happened that I couldn't do Saturday because there's that one Groovi show in between. I don't want to lose my beads, so I'm just moving this mat out of the way with the beads on. And let's hope I don't drop those. Before I pack them away. So you can see how messy the back there is there. But on the front, that is what that looks like. Oopsie daisy, hold on. That wasn't the best place to put it. And I need, so this you can see is looking pretty messy. We definitely need to cover it. So I've cut out another tag from just regular white card. Then I'm going to stick over the top. Do not use wet glue, because what's going to happen with the wet glue is it's going to seep through these holes and it's going to make your parchment buckle. So do not use wet glue. I'm using just the tape runner pen to put some tape. You can use double-sided tape. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to need to stand to do this. Isn't it weird how certain things we can do sitting? Well, most things I can do sitting. But something like tape, for some strange reason, I prefer standing and doing. And I'm, oopsie days, my sleeve. I'm going to put some in the middle. So I've put it on the backing here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold just the two of them side by side before I press it down, just to make sure I've got, can you see I'm just like, before I start pressing, and then just yeah, that will do. A bit missed in a place, but that's okay. So there we go, just press it down on the back to stick it down. We've got a tag here. I've got ribbon on this one at the top. On this one I will use some is it called raffia? What's it called? Raffia? I don't know what's the best way to do this. I've got a knot on it. So I'm just going to, I think, tie a knot, basically. That might be the quickest way than trying to do a loop and things. Oh, okay. For this, I need to sit. That's my exercise for the year done. She said, oh, it's not working. You know, I find this sort of things very fiddly, frustrating. No, I think a loop will be, it isn't long enough piece, so I think a loop will be better than trying to tie a knot. Except now I've got to find all my loops. There we go. And I thought this was going to be the easy part. Okay, let me just pull it tight. And I'll trim off the excess. Oh, how pretty is that? How cute is this? A bit too long, I think. It's a bit too long. That's a bit better. So 2 side by side. Identical but different. Hold on, just getting the bits off. There we go. Side by side, identical but different. And yeah, I wanted that a bit more orangier, but it's a bit more red. It doesn't matter. But on the same one, like I said earlier, from the same plate, this is the Christmas tree, which is this tree here. This tree here is this one here. Yeah, so you could have done, instead of this tree, we could have done this tree without this base here, just an impression, and done this tree, and that would have looked very pretty, maybe on the smaller size tag. That's going to look really pretty as well. So those are for this week. Next week, like I said, we are going to do the baubles, and the snowflake is from the angel tree. The angel plate. So we've got baubles, but I think I'll make it a little bit smaller because actually it doesn't have that much work on it again, but it'll take us approximately the same amount of time. So as long as you guys don't mind, I'm fine with it. But if I do a smaller tag this size, then we get only 3 baubles rather than, I quite like the snowflake and the baubles there. I don't know. If you want to do the bigger one, leave a note for me. If you want to do a smaller one and finish earlier, leave a note for me. I would really appreciate, like I said, I'm doing the 4 this month for the fundraiser. So if anyone can donate, I would very much appreciate it. Or even share the post. It is pinned on the top of the creative coaching page as well as on my personal page. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll drop a link on the YouTube comments bit. And anything else? Yeah, watch out for the Pergamano shows because you can get your hands on the retreat plates, and we'll be using those in the new year. Anything else I am not sure about. I'm sure there's loads of things I wanted to say and forgotten. But the larger plate, Carol, okay, we'll go with the larger one. since you said it first, so we'll go with the larger one, this one. I mean, this one is similar, but this one is a bit more involved. This one is a bit quicker, but so we'll go with this one. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely rest of the evening, and it was really nice to be able to join you guys for a Sunday evening. Honestly, I really appreciate you tuning in and making or watching the tag along or doing something different while, just listening in. Thank you. Take care. Bye, everyone.